Hello again, and this is Marky Mark. So let me start with the scope and purpose of this video. So let's say you want to start a new ladder season with your friends, and you're playing on Nintendo Switch, and you can have you and 3 friends in a game, and you've already went through the game with your starter for the season, and you're moving on to your second character. And let's say, just as an example, you want to do an Enchantress. Well, Enchantresses are pretty cool in a party. You can enchant all of the mercenaries. You can enchant your party members. But let's say you're playing on a budget and you can't get a flickering flame too easily. And then when you're soloing and your friends aren't around, you've got to deal with fire immunes in hell difficulty, which is kind of annoying. So I guess the purpose of this video is to show you a budget Enchantress build that you can still kind of hang in solo in hell difficulty, and if you want to go play with your friends, you've got a nice Enchantress sorceress. So let's start with the skills. Well, maybe before we do that, I'll point out that the main way of dealing with the fire immunes is a Fire Sunder Charm and an Obedience whatever. In this case, it's an Ethereal Thresher. Since we're not attacking, we don't have to worry about the fact it's ethereal. I ported this over from the mercenary for my other 2 characters. And yeah, now the sorceress is just gonna wield an Obedience Thresher, which also gives us a nice resistance buff. But anyways, as far as the skills go, didn't even put a point into Frozen Armor. It's not gonna freeze for very long since we don't have any skill buffs. We've only got a +1 to skills. We put 1 into Static Field, because that's good for bosses and stuff. 1 into Teleport, of course, and 1 into Energy Shield. And then for the fire skills, maybe I could have done this a little differently. We're still working on maxing out Enchant. We're at level 75 right now to use the Sunder Charm. After a few more quest bonuses and a few more levels, we'll max Enchant. Maybe I could have maxed Warmth last. But yeah, those are the 3 for Enchant. The Enchant build. Warmth, Enchant, Fire Mastery. I guess you can do that as you need. Maybe just max Enchant and max Warmth last. And then for the fire immunes, we've got Hydra, because we are a Hydra Enchantress. Now, you might be saying we don't have the synergies with Firebolt and Fireball. But if you look at the bonuses, it's 3% per level, so it's not a huge synergy bonus. And if you look at it, the Hydra at level 21 with the Fire Mastery does like 500 damage. So by the time we apply our Sunder Charm and our Obedience, they're taking 30% damage of that. And yeah, it's between 1 and 200. But the thing about Hydras is now there's no casting delay, so you can literally just plop up 6 Hydras real fast, and each of the 3 heads of the Hydra shoots a fireball that does between 100 and 200 damage. So you can actually kill fire immunes pretty efficiently. It's not the fastest, but it seems to be like the best strategy that I could come up with. Originally, I tried using Inferno because we got the warmth bonus. That kind of sucks because you have to stand in one place and shoot the Inferno. Kind of had problems getting hit. Blaze is nice if the monsters are chasing you, but for all those range attackers, they're not going to chase you. And then I thought about Firewall, but then you have to get the enemies to stand in one place. That might be possibly a little bit more viable now that we are summoning a Valkyrie as our mercenary, since our mercenary is actually an Act 1 mercenary, because that's the whole kind of point of me making this build, was to use an Act 1 mercenary with a Kuko Shikaku for 50% piercing attack, added fire damage, 3 to bow and crossbow, and it fires explosive arrows or bolts. So if we enchant her, her base damage is 951 as an exploding arrow that shoots out of the Kukushako. So that's like 900 damage just off of her basic attack. And I guess if she shoots a fire arrow, it's a lot weaker because it's single target, it doesn't explode, but still gets a nice little added fire damage. And even without the enchant buff, it looks like her exploding arrow does like 800 damage. So yeah, she's really good at killing anything that's not immune to fire. And for her armor, we boosted her attack speed with a hustle, and I chose hustle over treachery because I wanted the faster run walk, so when she gets surrounded, she can kind of walk away a lot faster. And for the helmet, we've got a delirium. Out of all my characters this season, this is the most expensive item I have. It took an ist rune. It's kind of important though for this character because of the level 18 confuse. Once she confuses all the monsters, they're just going to kind of fight each other a little bit, and it's going to be a lot easier to kill them, and you'll take a lot less damage while they're confused. For my gear, we've got resistances, stat points, magic damage reduction, resistances, faster run walk, resistances, damage taken goes to mana to help with the energy shield a little bit, 50 fire resistance and attack speed, a little bit of cast rate and resist, and more cast rate and resist, and 1 to Sork skills resist, and the armor is 50 to resist. So basically our gear is nothing but resistances, and if you look at the resistances, they're all capped out except fire. And even if we swap to our secondary weapon, which is unfortunately not a Kuko Shikaku, I couldn't get my hands on a second one, so all I got is a Hellcast Heavy Crossbow. Also shoots exploding arrows, or bolts. So we can do a little bit of throw up some Hydras, and then swap to this weapon and shoot the things that aren't immune to fire. I believe if you cast Hydra while using the Thresher, the minus 25 enemy fire resistance applies to the Hydras for their entire duration. And then if you swap, because they're a summon basically, then if you swap to the crossbow, you can shoot anything that's not immune to fire while the Hydras are still getting the bonus from the obedience. Let's see, what else? The charms. Charms are literally nothing good. Like, we got 7s and 8s on resistances. We got a Grand Charm, Fire 17, 15 life, not even good life charms. The best charm is probably this, 21 life, all resistance is 6. Second best charm is probably a Fire Resist 11. So yeah, no Torch, no Annie. And like I said, our resistances were capped, and now that we switched to the crossbow, they're still pretty good. We got everything in the 60s except cold. So we're doing pretty good if we switch to the crossbow. And then in our cube, we're keeping this Peace Ring Mail. That's how we summon the Valkyrie. I would not recommend just walking around wearing this and losing all your resistances. I would recommend going to the Bloodmoor and then proccing it so you get the Valkyrie. And just teleport a little bit extra to keep the Valkyrie alive. But level 15 Valkyrie is pretty durable. At least I found so in Act 1. But yeah, this part 1 of this series is an Act 1 video. I'm not sure if I need to... Yeah, went over the resistances, went over the mercenary, went over the skill tree. Yes, let's go to the gameplay. And let's see, we got a portal here. Where's that portal go? Catacombs level 3. I guess we'll just keep that there, because that's pretty close to Andariel, which we are going to do her. But before we do Andariel, we're going to actually do Tristram and rescue Cain. And I'm standing, so bear with me. It's a little bit harder to play when I'm standing next to the mic. And these little guys are immune to fire. And the mercenary's not really hurting them very much. Yeah, so those are fire immunes going down to Hydras. If you look at my mercenary's bow, it's not even an upgraded, so her physical damage is very low. The Valkyrie probably has very low physical damage. I forgot to get the scroll so I can actually open the gate. Whoops, forgot about that. I left it in my stash when I was doing all the other stuff. Good thing the waypoint is right next to the stones. And hopefully we can get to a nice little spot where we can swap to the crossbow. Unfortunately, I have not been able to enchant the Valkyrie. I'd like to know how to do that. Yeah, but that mercenary does a lot of fire damage. Well, the Valkyrie can handle Griswold, even with some amplified damage. Now, obviously, once we move on to Act 2 and go in all them tombs with the fire immune skeletons, it's going to be a different story, but I think we can handle it. I would like to kill these monsters and get a level. They're converted. Yeah, maybe I don't mess with all those guys. Skeletons are a lot easier.
Deckard Cain, get to the rogue cave.
Alright, yeah, we'll go back to town. So I actually got to level 4 of the catacombs, but I didn't actually clear all those little carvers out in there. So we'll get some carver action or fallen action going once we go to the 4th level. So we're going to definitely need the Thresher for that.
Utter regret.
Actually didn't do Blood Raven or the Forgotten Tower either.
You have risked your...
I don't like that.
Hello.
This will be the first boss fight in Hell mode. Oh, we actually... Yeah, we gotta go over here. Not gonna teleport, gonna save no mana. Surprisingly, maxed out warmth is pretty decent on the mana regen. After you throw up like 6 Hydras and you just kind of run around and don't do anything, a lot of your mana comes back. Those guys are immune to fire. Or were immune to fire. I guess I could have thrown up the 6 Hydras. Alright, so I gotta snipe the shaman. There's one shaman sniped. I think I got that one. Is there another shaman here? I don't know. I don't see one. I would have liked some more mana potions. Yeah, actually, I think I'm gonna buy some extra mana potions for Andariel. Keep them in my inventory. And we'll just blast her with Hydras and teleport, I guess. After we... I don't know if I should try to get close enough to her to static field her. Probably. Probably lure her into that room that we're in right now. And abandon all the other monsters. Don't really feel like messing with Fallens. There's ghouls. Oh, I didn't actually buy extra mana potions. I forgot. I'm an idiot. Valkyrie's gone. That was easy. Well, I'm not going to stick around while we're poisoned. I'll come back and check the loot. But yeah, so, well, she's going to die.
The evil. Finally, we met.
Oh yeah, so Andariel's pretty easy. I mean, I got hit hard once, but
Greetings.
yeah. So thanks for watching. Join me in part 2. We'll do something in Act 2. And once we get to that Chaos Sanctuary, though, it's going to be a little rough. Those Doom Knights have a lot more life than a little Fallen. Might have to teleport around, kite a little bit. Yeah, but all we really got for those Doom Knights is Hydra. It's going to be rather difficult. Hopefully I can get a good video out of it. Alright, thanks for watching.